Uključeni smo.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Pardon the minor delay. We were experiencing some minor technological difficulties, but thank you for joining us for this special briefing with His Excellency, Ambassador of Serbia to the United States, Đerđ Matković. With us today is also Aleks Djuricic, the President of the Serbian American Leadership Conference, or SALC. My name is Ilijana Todorovic. I'm an attorney in the United States and a SALC board member and VP of Legislative Affairs. Allow me to start by thanking you, Ambassador, for finding the time and being amenable to speaking with us today regarding some of the issues that our community, both here in the United States and back home, is facing in these truly unprecedented times. Before we dive into our Q&A session, as we did receive some questions for you, Ambassador, I would like to turn it over to Aleks Djuricic to share a couple of words about SALC for those who may not be familiar with the organization. Aleks?
Thank you, Ilijana. Thank you again to our VP of Strategic Partnerships, Nena Đorđević, for helping facilitate this briefing as usual. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Happy Easter to all the citizens of Serbia and the US that celebrated Easter yesterday. As Ilijana had mentioned, my name is Aleks Djuricic. I am the President of the Serbian American Leadership Conference. Vaša Ekscelencijo, hvala vam što ste izdvojili vremena da budete sa nama. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us, Mr. Ambassador. We hope you and your team at the embassy are staying safe and healthy. First, on behalf of SALC and the diaspora of America, we ask that you convey our best wishes and our solidarity to our brothers and sisters in Serbia. You are our family and brethren, and we stand with you now and forever. We are just as much Serbians as we are American. We also ask that you convey our prayers for a speedy recovery to all those affected by COVID-19, including President Vučić's son, Danilo. We understand this is a difficult time for everyone. We know that the measures in Serbia and the U.S. have not been an easy adjustment for any of us, but they are critical for us so that we can beat this common invisible enemy. As you know, the Serbian American Leadership Conference has been working hard in the last 6 months to reorganize and re-energize our community. We've been working hard to represent our interests of the Serbian people in our local communities and now in Washington. As you know, our goal is that as we grow and bring value to the Serbian American community, that our community's organization and growth will help increase the standard of living and improve the lives of the people actually living in Serbia. And most of all, we are looking forward to further collaborating with the embassy. We could not have had the success that we have had without your encouragement and your collaboration the past 6 months. When we first met, you had provided the motivation and the good words of support that we needed at that time. We were a little bit uncertain of our future, and you had helped alleviate any of the concerns that we had about our success. And I think our collaboration and our success right now and our growth is a testament to the cooperation that we have had with the embassy. I also want to mention that we are flattered by the name of the new initiative by the Congress for Serbian American Friendship, headed by Dr. Vladimir Marinković, which is the Serbian American Leadership Academy. Our people can only reach prosperity through the joint efforts of the Serbian American community as a whole, SALC, other Serbian American organizations, the State Department, the US Embassy in Belgrade, the Serbian Embassy in Washington, the Serbian consulates in the US, organizations in Serbia like the Congress for Serbian American Friendship, all the political parties in Serbia, and most importantly, all the people in Serbia. We can only do this together if we set aside our disagreements and we focus on common objectives and common goals, and I think we are on the path to do that. It is critical that we do that because that's the only way that we can restore and promote the historic relationship between the U.S. and Serbia, between the American people and the Serbian people, that's been built on shared values and friendship. Finally, Mr. Ambassador, I know that your time as Ambassador of Serbia in the U.S. may be coming to an end. We want to thank you for your time and your dedication. Everything that I've heard personally has only been good words, that you have worked very hard to restore relations, to grow the bonds between the Serbs living in America and the Serbs living in Serbia, between the American people and the Serbian people. And so we thank you for your time, for your dedication, and your contribution to our efforts. With that being said, Ilijana?
Well, thank you for such a motivating and encouraging introductory message, Alex. Ambassador, before we dive into our Q&A session, would you like to share some introductory remarks?
Yes, first of all, I would like to thank Alex for his invitation and, of course, for Neno Đorđević for initiating this call. It is a great honor for me to participate in this call and to share the views of the Serbian government and the Serbian people with you. Also, it is my really pleasure that we met last year at our embassy. As you said, it was our first meeting, and it was an encouragement for you, but for me as well, to see young people from Serbian origin in the US to engage in these activities and to contribute, as you said, to the advancement of our bilateral relations and to the betterment of the Serbian people there. You are absolutely right that in these difficult times, solidarity is the key word. We have to be together, we have to help each other, and we will together come out of this crisis stronger and hopefully smarter. So thank you very much for these kind words. Also, I would like to thank also my colleague in Belgrade, Ambassador Anthony Grotri, who participated in the previous call, for his support and for his cooperation. It is valuable for us. And at the beginning, I just wanted to say that solidarity was on display when the American embassy in Belgrade, despite of the lack of the tests for COVID-19 virus, they have actually delivered 6,000 tests for the Serbian people, which will help us a lot in the fight against this virus. So thank you very much. And also, I must say that I'm honored that Ilijana will be the moderator, and she is one of the bright Serbian people here, young people in the US, and I wish you all success in your endeavors, and I appreciate very much your help to Serbia.
Thank you, Excellency, for such kind words. And again, we join in the gratitude to the American ambassador as well. We can begin our Q&A session by addressing this unexampled situation created by the coronavirus. Ambassador, as you have just mentioned, we had a similar special briefing with the U.S. Ambassador to Serbia, the Honorable Anthony Godfrey, a few days ago. His opinion was that the Serbian government is, quote unquote, taking the pandemic challenge seriously, and that the country walked into the COVID-19 battle in a strong fiscal position in comparison to some other countries in the region. Is this something that you would agree with? And what are projections for the aftermath? Will normalcy ultimately be restored?
Absolutely, I agree with Anthony, and I would like also to thank for his assessment, because it's really the case that the Serbian government has undertaken the strict and the most important measure on time. And thanks to those measures which were introduced at the beginning of March, and when the first cases actually appeared in Serbia, they have already given some results. Had it not been to those measures, I think the number of infections and the number of deaths would be much higher in Serbia. Some people are objecting to the state of emergency, which was introduced very soon also and on time, that they are limiting some movements and some liberties. But in these times of difficulties, I think that we cannot think about limiting movement, limiting liberties. It is most important to save lives. So what we are doing now is a little bit of sacrifice in order to be better tomorrow. So Serbia has also, as other countries, very limited hospital capacities, but we were very innovative, and we have managed to convert some of the fairs and other facilities which we had to improvise hospitals. And so far we are managing the crisis. The measure which was actually limiting the movement of the people 65 and older in cities and 70 and older in rural communities was actually a good one, because these are the most vulnerable. This is the most vulnerable population, and I think that has already showing its results that this population is not very much affected by the virus. Unfortunately, younger people are also. As far as the assessment of Ambassador Godfrey regarding the economic foundation for coming out of the crisis. I also agree with him. Just to share a few data which I have collected about the Serbian economy before the COVID-19 crisis actually erupted. Serbia has a continued growth of GDP for 4 years, and in 2019 it was 4.2%, which was one of the best highest growth in whole Europe, and this growth was continuing in January, February. Also, we have recorded a budget surplus for 4 consecutive years, and the further decline in public debt ratio to GDP ratio, which was at the beginning of 2020 48.9%. The macroeconomic stabilization and the improvement of business environment also contributed to the high foreign direct investment inflow. We had foreign investment in Serbia 3.8 billion euros in 2019, which is more than all other 5 Western Balkan countries combined. So we are very proud of that. We had managed to get all these investments, and also the export of goods and services have continued to grow. And at the beginning of 2020, it was 14.7% higher than the year before. So it is actually also favorable labor market conditions. Unemployment rate we have kept under 9%, and all other measures which were undertaken a few years back in order to stabilize the economy and to make the country stronger are actually now showing their results. So I think that it will be for Serbia much easier to come out of this crisis economically once this is over, pandemic is over, and we will be one of the countries which will have the growth in a few years, I think, expansionally above the EU average. I think that the measures which were introduced by the government at the end of March are very, very good, very well designed. They are targeting several sectors: the private sector, the small and medium enterprises, and also individuals. So by these measures, people will be able to overcome the economic difficulties and the hardships which are coming out of this crisis, and every country in the world will be faced with it. The projection is that Serbia will have a decline of GDP of 1.8% this year, but as of 2021, we will have a growth again, and I think we will be reaching this level which we are today in very soon, in a year or two. So it will be difficult, but I think the measures are all in place, and we are confident that we will be better. These measures are worth 5.1 billion euros. For Serbia, it's a huge undertaking. It's about 50% of the whole annual budget and 11% of the GDP. But I think it's worth it, and I know that the state will have a lack of income in the next few months because of the lack of economic activities, but this is a sacrifice which we are doing. We have a very high level of the foreign currency reserves and 31 tons of gold, which are a good basis for the growth of economy.
Thank you. Thank you for such exhaustive response and detailed statistical data. That all sounds certainly very encouraging. Ambassador, I assume that it would be safe to say, to kind of build up on that the Serbian embassy stands at the disposal of and is committed to help everyone who is facing challenges during this testing period. Can you tell us how the embassy has put its resources to use, and what are the ways in which people can actually seek the embassy's assistance?
Yes, and unfortunately, because of the coronavirus crisis here in Washington, D.C., institutions are also closed, and the embassy is also working on a limited scope. We are trying to absolutely be open and help the people in need, but in the consular sections, we are mostly dealing now with helping people who stayed here in the United States and were not able to return home because of the interruption in the air traffic. So that is our most important goal today. There are lots of people who are registering with the embassy
It seems like your experience.
People were flown back home. Sorry.
It seems like the connection broke there. I'm sorry, Ambassador. Do you mind repeating just the last couple of sentences?
Yes. Okay. So the embassy is dealing with mostly the people who stayed here in the United States and were not able to go back to Serbia because of the lack of the air traffic, and most of them are here either students or people on exchange programs, or some tourists who couldn't go back, or other people who were working here in the US and lost their jobs. So they are in a very dire situation, and the same embassies at their disposal. We are working really 24/7 to help those people. The consular section is overwhelmed with calls, and these young people who were repatriated, so to say, last week were very happy and very satisfied. We managed to put altogether 236 seats were available on this flight, and we managed to get all the seats filled because it is a huge logistic undertaking to manage that from all parts of the United States. The students and the pupils flew in, and they were on the plane. On the other hand, at the building, we are temporarily in an office building, and in the building there was a case of coronavirus. So one of the floors were completely sealed off, and the whole building was disinfected. So we are mostly working from home, but there are also people who are on duty and going to the embassy. But as I said, the diplomacy is now more orientated to helping Serbs and our citizens who are here in the US to go back home. We are trying also to find some innovative solutions. There are still some flights from European countries, and people who are interested in going back that way. There are humanitarian flights of Air Serbia to certain European cities like Paris in France or Frankfurt in Germany. Tomorrow, I think it will be Oslo and Stockholm and Prague and Bratislava. So there are some flights from Europe, and everybody who manages to go there to Europe to reach some European destination, we will help them to go back home. However, this is a big burden for the Serbian economy. The people are coming back, and some of them are unfortunately infected, and they will be also a burden for the Serbian health system. But these are our citizens, and they are all welcome back. And I think if they are in a bad situation abroad, it is better to be home at home with family and friends, and we are absolutely helping them. So this is our goal, and I'm really proud that we managed to fill that plane 236 seats. Whether there will be another direct flight to the United States, I don't know at this point, but I suppose that there will be some more flights before this is over, and the people who will be interested, we will absolutely make the list of priorities according to the criteria which we have received from our Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Thank you, Ambassador. I certainly want to commend you on my own behalf, on behalf of SALC, for the great job the embassy has been doing, and it's always nice to hear about the success stories. And I'm also glad to report that the media is actually talking about your success stories, because I remember reading about some of these things that you just mentioned, especially the flight that was able to transport back some of our students and other people who were here. As I may have mentioned earlier, the public had an opportunity to send us questions ahead of time. And one of the questions that we received pertains to the retired U.S. citizens who returned to Serbia and currently live there. But they're faced with the issue of how to receive their pension money. It was brought to our attention that local post offices in small municipalities may be closed, and Western Union, which is what most people use to send and receive money, may be hard to get to. Is there anything that can be done to help these individuals retrieve their pension funds during this pandemic?
Yes, I'm aware actually of this situation. You were the one who actually drew my attention to this problem. We have reached out to the State Department, and they have checked with the U.S. Embassy. So far, there were no complaints from the American citizens who are in Serbia. But as far as the solution is concerned, I think the best way would be, because really in these small cities, sometimes the post office or the banks are closed. that those people give power of attorney to their relatives who can actually be in bigger cities to take the money. But we will look at it, and thank you very much for bringing this problem to our attention, because of course our goal is to help everybody, and the people can use their money, their well-earned pensions, and we will take care of this problem.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for looking into it. Switching gears here a little bit and moving away from COVID-19, another question that we received was regarding the difficulties that U.S. citizens of Serbian descent experience during their stay in Serbia. It seems that they currently hold the same visa entry status as any other visitors who have no connections to Serbia, which is usually a short-term tourist visa. The issue, as it was relayed to us, is that this makes it burdensome for the Serbian Americans to transact many basic functions during their stay there that require a status above a mere tourist, such as registering of vehicles, things simple as that. So, Your Excellency, as it pertains to residency, is there a way to accommodate long-term stays in Serbia for those in the diaspora of Serbian descent with a visa status that is above that of mere tourists, but short of full citizenship?
Yes, this is also a good question. And I agree that there are some people who will need much longer stay than this 90 days which a tourist visa allows them. In this thing, in order to make a distinction between people who are regular tourists and those who are coming for business and who are of Serbian descent, we would have to change the law. So it would be a longer process, but I think that the people who are going there and would like to stay longer than 90 days, they can register in the local police station, MUP, and to seek a temporary residency permit. So it would be, I think, a solution which would be available for those who would like to stay. But of course, as I said, we will look also to this problem to see whether it would be possible to do something, as you said, above a tourist visa, but short of citizenship.
Thank you, Ambassador. We'll certainly follow up with your office on that in that regard, and we will try to get the information back to the person who actually did raise the question. Moving on, Ambassador, this year has been a census year in the United States, and the Serbian American Leadership Conference has engaged in concerted effort to encourage everyone to participate. Could you share a few words with us about why it is imperative for all people from former Yugoslavia who currently reside in the United States to respond to the census, and what are the long-term benefits of doing so for their community?
Yes, first of all, thank you very much for the Serbian American Leadership Conference for helping us in this. This is one of the bright examples of our good cooperation, that you were encouraging the people to register and to take part in the census. The reason why we need this data is that we don't, any embassy of the former Yugoslavia don't think that they have an exact number of their citizens living in the US, because there is no obligation that you register with the embassy, and usually people don't do that until they need some services from the embassy. So we have a list of people, but it's a very partial list who are here in our area. We have two consulate generals. The Consulate General in Chicago is covering the Midwest and the western part of the country. The Consulate General in New York, the northeast part, and the consular section of the embassy in Washington, the southeastern part of the US. But this is also the data which we all together have is very limited. So I think once we have a more clear picture how many Serbs are living in the US, we will have more opportunities to devote some funds and to devote some action, government action to cooperate with them. We can use their experience, we can use their connection with the government, local governments and the states where they live, and also we can encourage them to come to Serbia to invest, to explore investment opportunities. We can contact them directly, and it is really important that we know the exact number of people, how many citizens of Serbian origin we have in the US. And I think it would be beneficial for the Serbian government to plan the funds for the future. How would we work with those people, and how would we use the opportunities which they prove?
I thank you, Ambassador. I truly hope that your answer resonated with those who maybe did not have a chance to respond to the census yet. And I would like to use this opportunity one more time to encourage everybody to respond. It's quite an easy process. It only takes 5 minutes or so of your time. You can do it online. You can do it via mail and hard copy. So once again, we encourage everybody to find a few minutes of their time to participate in the census, because as Ambassador has mentioned, it is very important for your community in the long run. Switching gears here again a little bit, I wanted us to use this special briefing and mention the Serbian Caucus. How closely is the Embassy of Serbia working with the Serbian American Congressional Caucus, and what have been some recent issues on your agenda? And for those who may not be familiar with the Serbian Caucus, please feel free to share a couple words about it.
Yes, the Serbian Caucus in the US Congress is actually a group of congressmen and senators who are in a way connected with Serbia and who has interest working with Serbia. Either they have Serb citizens in their constituencies, or they are economically or in other ways connected with Serbia. So the Congressional Caucus of Serbia had about 35 members. Now we have a little bit less, but that number fluctuates depending on which year are the elections and which congressman is re-elected or not. We have an excellent cooperation with traditionally with the Serbian Caucus. The president until a year and a half ago was Ted Poe, the co-chair of the caucus, congressman from Texas. He retired, but we have very active and very smart congressman from Ohio, which is it's Steve Stivers, who has replaced him as co-chair of the Serbian Caucus. The other co-chair is from the Democratic side, is Emanuel Kliver. And we have an excellent cooperation with them. We have organized several trips of congressional staffers to Serbia in framework of the MICA program, which proved to be very, very important for them to know more about Serbia and to inform their congressmen and senators about the developments there. And more importantly, Congressman Stivers is also a general at the Ohio National Guard. And as you know, the Ohio National Guard is the partner of Serbia in the state partnership program. We have excellent cooperation with the National Guard of Ohio, and they are participating in training our peacekeeping for peacekeepers, chaplainship programs, and all other kinds of exercises which we are participating in, from cyber exercises to really military exercises. So this program is an excellent program, and I would like to use this as a segue to talk a little bit about this partnership, because we are using the excellent military cooperation with Ohio to as a basis for the civilian-to-civilian cooperation. So we have been visiting. I was there 2 or 3 times in Ohio, and Prime Minister Ana Brnabić was a year ago also in Ohio, and we have identified several aspects of cooperation which would be very beneficial for Ohio and for Serbia. These are agriculture, university cooperation, education, climate fight against climate change, and all other areas which we have identified. And I think Congressman Stivers was planning to, if this COVID-19 virus has not appeared, he would have in early April or May would have led a delegation of businessmen to Serbia to identify and to connect with the Serbian businesses and to identify the possibilities of investing there and cooperation. One of the highlights of the visit of the Prime Minister was the meeting with the Smuckers, one of the biggest producers of jams and spreads in the US, and they were really amazed with the opportunities of cooperating with Serbia. They sent a delegation to explore not only buying fruits and spreads from Serbia, but also maybe establishing some kind of facility there in Serbia to produce these products. So overall, the Serbian Caucus is very useful. We are having an excellent cooperation with them, and I think in the future it will be even more important to do that. And Congressman Stivers and Cleaver are very good friends and very committed to helping Serbia. So I thank them in this way also for their commitment and friendship.
Well, thank you, Ambassador. That's really great news. We certainly hope that the embassy's cooperation with the Serbian American Congressional Caucus will continue to produce results. So thank you for all those pieces of information. I think many people will find them useful. I think that we're slowly running out of time for our Q&A session here. So I will conclude by sharing with the viewers that your mission during your mandate was, among other things, to strengthen the relations between the United States and Serbia, as Aleks has mentioned in the beginning, and revive the economic cooperation and historic alliance that these two countries share for a long time. Now that we know that you're getting ready to pass the torch after almost 4 decades of an impressive career in foreign service, I wanted to ask you in retrospect, what has been the highlight of your time serving as an ambassador in the United States, and what are your hopes for your successor?
Yes, thank you for those kind words. Yes, I am a career diplomat for almost 40 years. 39 years ago, I actually started to work in the foreign ministry, and throughout my career, I went through all the steps from the lowest rank of attaché to ambassador. And I think it is very important in a career of a diplomat to go step by step and to know all the areas of work, how these lower level diplomats are working, what are their duties. And as an ambassador, you can appreciate very much more their work and their contributions. So during my stay in the US, I am here almost more than 5 years, actually. I'm proud that we managed to move, as Aleks said in the beginning, the relations in a good direction. And I thank here my colleagues from the State Department, from the NSC, and also the Congress, who were really very helpful in this, who were all on the same page with me. We have managed to put Serbia from a third rank problem, which nobody was really interested in very much, to the center of the attention of the government and of the administration, that now they are paying more attention to Serbia. And for the first time, there is not an automatic reply regarding what we have to do, but they are listening to us. They are taking into consideration our problems and our needs, and this is an active dialogue which we are leading with the United States administration, and I think it was one of the highlights of my career. The other one would be the economic success, not only that the exchange of goods and services is growing, but also the investments, the American companies who are investing in Serbia, who are interested in doing business in Serbia. The environment is there. The environment is very favorable for investments, and we are always trying to prove that to the American investors, American companies, that it is worth to come to Serbia, and they will be better off if they come. So to my successor, I wish that he continues this work. It is really an honor to be here, Ambassador of Serbia, and to represent my country. And I am really happy that this is actually the highlight of my career. And then I'm going maybe the next year to retire and with this success in the US.
Well, thank you for that. Our community is certainly proud of all of your accomplishments, and we thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
Your Excellency, on behalf of the Serbian American Leadership Conference, please allow me to thank you once again for your long and dedicated service, and for finding the time to join us today in the midst of this pandemic. Before I let you go, however, do you have any closing remarks, anything that you would like to share with the viewers?
Yes, thank you once again for all this. I would like to say to my Serbian fellow citizens here in the US, to be safe, keep safe, and to stay healthy, and listen to the recommendations of the government and of the epidemiologists to stay home, keep the distance, and the more we are listening to them, and the more we are actually adhering to these advices, the sooner we come out of this and we'll be together again. And I think it will be sooner than later that we can be together and hug each other together again and celebrate again the possibility that we work. And also, as a big fan of the NBA, I'm hardly waiting to see again our players in the NBA, Bjelica, Jokic, Bogdanovic, and Marjanovic playing again.
Absolutely. As a huge basketball fan and a former basketball player myself, I join in your response. Ambassador Matković, thank you once again for joining us today. It was a pleasure and honor to discuss some of these issues with you, and I truly hope that the viewers will find our conversation informative. The Serbian American Leadership Conference certainly counts on a continued successful cooperation with the Serbian Embassy in an effort to help our community as much as possible. For all of those who took the time to send us your questions, thank you. Given that we were working with a somewhat limited time frame, in case we didn't touch upon some of your questions or some of the things that may be of concern to you, please do not hesitate to reach out. You can send your questions and concerns to the SALC email address, and I think that is posted somewhere on the screen here. And we will do our best to get an answer for you. Before we log off, I would like to use this opportunity to announce a virtual fireside chat with His Royal Highness Crown Prince Aleksandar Karađorđević, which is scheduled for next Monday, so in a week, on April 20th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time or at noon Central Standard Time. That program will also be broadcast live on this page and SALC's other social media platforms. Thereafter, we are also hoping to host another special briefing with the Ambassador of Bosnia and Herzegovina, the Honorable Bojan Vujić, in early May, so that all citizens of Bosnia and Herzegovina who currently reside in America or happen to be here temporarily could get some answers to their questions as well. We are still in the process of trying to figure out the logistics of that special briefing event with the Bosnian Embassy, and we'll certainly share the details with you as soon as we have them. Okay, I think that would be all. Thank you all for watching and for participating, for sending us your questions. Final thank you to His Excellency, the Ambassador of Serbia to the United States, Đerđ Matković, and Aleks for joining us. I would like to conclude this briefing by recognizing that, unfortunately, in this way or another, these truly unprecedented events have impacted everyone. Of course, we're talking about the coronavirus. With that in mind, I would like to encourage everyone to be cautiously optimistic and to join forces to provide a resilient response to COVID-19 fight. If you're in a position to help, please consider reaching out to your local communities, family members, friends, and neighbors, regardless of where they may be stationed, to at least check on them and to provide any form of help that is currently doable and that is within your means. We are indeed in uncharted waters, and as they say, something little can go a long way. I'm convinced that we will not only overcome this crisis, but also come out on the other end as a better version of ourselves. So thank you all once again, and stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you. Stay safe.